anybody
really?
if anybody thinks that by putting an online sales tool together, suddenly all the customers are going to buy online, that's not the reality. Actually, very few get to the entire through the entire journey without touching the retailer in some way, in some communication method, whether that be live chat, phone. But what we do find is people want to construct the deal. They want to start the process. They want to examine what it will look like, take some of the elements away from the communication, and then when they're ready, then they'll get in touch.
Yeah.
We've now moved on, and people want more. They need a lot more than just a dynamic finance offer. They need to, they need to be able to see the vehicle. They need to be able to apply. They need to be able to get a credit decision back. They need to be able to get a part exchange valuation. They need to be able to put a reservation down.
Yeah.
But I think it's only in the last 2 or 3 years, really, we've started to see online reservations, and it's unbelievable in the year 2020.
It is when you compare it to other industries, isn't it? I suppose.
Over the last 2 years, certainly, there's a realisation that customers should be able to do more in their own time, of their own choosing. And that's not just finance, but getting a valuation for part exchange, being able to reserve it, and just arming the customer with the ability to do more of the journey that they feel comfortable with, in a place that they feel comfortable, at a time that they feel comfortable.
It's the first time you've been in the same room together for quite a while, isn't it?
It's been nice.
Today I'm joined by 2 guests in our new studio, or one of the many studios that we have these days. I'm joined by Roland and Shaun from Codeweavers. How are you doing, guys?
Very good, thanks.
Yeah, very good.
We were just saying before we started recording that it's the first time you've been in the same room together for quite a while, isn't it?
At least 5 months. So
yeah, probably getting on for 6. We have not seen each other.
Which is weird. Been nice.
I'm glad he chose the Armchair Show.
No comment.
No, we'll leave that one. We'll cut that bit out. Roland, can you tell us a bit about Codeweavers?
So Codeweavers is a software company that's solved purposes to help retailers and really anyone that's selling vehicles to sell more vehicles, and that's our primary goal. So if you go back 3 years, then our business was more around facilitating finance and everything that entailed, whether that was retail finance or leasing and commercial finance.
Yeah.
But as our business has grown and taken more data assets into it and has had more influence and worked with more partners, then we've seen our sort of remit grow, and we've moved into other areas. And so we have built a platform that we think is the connector, as it were, for the industry to help join all of the different constituent parts together, whether that's vehicles, whether that's customers, whether that's finance, whether that's part exchanges, whatever it is, and bring all of that data and all of that information together, join it together, and then distribute it to anyone that needs it. And so that might be Codeweavers building something, like we built the Volvo new car online sales tool.
Okay.
Or it might be us providing services to a third party like AutoTrader to power their calculations. So we just want to make anyone's job of creating technology, creating tools to help retailers sell vehicles as easy as possible, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing this, Shaun?
I've been doing it for 7 years. Codeweavers is 19 in total.
19, yeah.
19, yeah.
Long time. What have you seen changed in that time? What's the key thing that you think that's different now these days?
From my point of view, when I started, the goal for Codeweavers was to web enable finance, to take what is effectively a static offering on a website, usually an image of a finance offer or just a bit of markup, and turn that into something dynamic that helps a customer understand what the retailer or the people selling the vehicle can actually offer in the showroom. So. We achieved that, and I think that's been now our first 10 years of our life. We're about getting that finance dynamic and getting it working on websites and helping people then to generate leads and activity for retailers. So that's worked, that's happened, and hence why we've now moved on, and people want more. They need a lot more than just a dynamic finance offer. They need to they need to be able to see the vehicle, they need to be able to apply, they need to be able to get a credit decision back, they need to be able to get a part exchange valuation, they need to be able to put a reservation down.
Yep.
The funny thing about reservations, I always think, is that I've been speaking to retailers for the last 15, 20 years and saying to them, why are you not taking a deposit on a car? And from more than one retailer, I had the answer that was, well, I don't want to take a deposit and take a car off sale because I might miss a customer at the weekend, and then if the customer doesn't proceed with it, then we're going to lose a sale. And I'm like, oh, you don't get it, do you? It's like you've got to be more positive. If a customer does cancel, well, so what? You still got the car, put it back on sale. It should be easy, But I think it's only in the last 2 or 3 years, really, we've started to see online reservations, and it's unbelievable in the year 2020.
It is when you compare it to other industries, isn't it? I suppose, like hotels and restaurants and things. What do you think's changed in those 2 years, Shaun?
I think there's a realisation that customers inevitably want to be able to do more. They want more control. I think we've clung on to a traditional way of selling a car. We've had an obsession with test drives, an obsession with having to sit in front of the customer and lead them. And I think now, over the last 2 years, certainly, there's a realisation that customers should be able to do more in their own time, of their own choosing. And that's not just finance, but getting a valuation for part exchange, being able to reserve it, and just arming the customer with the ability to do more of the journey that they feel comfortable with, in a place that they feel comfortable, at a time that they feel comfortable.
That's a key thing, isn't it? There's so many different ways to buy a car. Is there a right way to buy a car, do you think?
Absolutely not, no. And the one thing that is very clear is that every customer is different, and the journey that a customer takes on their purchase is different. Yeah, there's some, you can categorise them. Some people are obsessed about how much they're going to get for the part exchange. Some people are obsessed about getting the very lowest rate of finance. And other people want to haggle the car down as much as possible. And some people just want an easy and simple journey that they can transact quickly without having to spend too much time on. So, and you have to accommodate and have systems and tools that can do all of that, and really cope with any customer journey, and understand that customers change their mind. Customers, there's one. When I worked for Virgin Cars, it was really funny because they spent at the time, it was 1999, 2000, and they spent a lot of money building their website, and it was at the time it was by far the most sophisticated website that was out there. You could do everything online, basically, which in 2000 was amazing. And they moved offices 5 times in a year because they just had no concept that customers would actually want to pick the phone up and talk to them about stuff, because they thought they'd covered it all off in the web.
Wow.
And it's unbelievable how that, there's still that requirement to all the nuances of everything, and customers chasing where the vehicle is, and there's so much into it in a car sale that needs to be thought of. That's why we're in the year 2000, and still it's a basic journey. When you cannot, it's really hard to fully transact online even today, even with the very best of the systems that are out there.
Yeah, I think you've picked up on something really interesting there, because it is about joining or having a very consistent journey, whether you start it online or if you start it by walking into the showroom. Is that what you found, Shaun? Is it, and also, how does a dealership marry those two experiences together? Because they're very different. If you sat there browsing on your phone for a car, it's very different to walking into a showroom, isn't it?
Very. I think as an industry, there's been some soul searching over the last couple of years, and I think there's an awareness and an honesty now that the traditional car purchase journey isn't the best customer experience. We say that it's for something that's probably the second biggest purchase of your life. If you want a long-standing relationship with a customer, the negotiation aspect, the potential for a customer to feel that they've been turned over or not had the best deal, isn't the best way of starting a commercial relationship with anybody. And I think the best customer buying experience is the one that they've created and they've enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I don't think buying a car has always been enjoyable. I think arming the customer now to be able to do the bits that maybe they want to do before either engaging in live chat, which is increasingly important, and some glue to holding the offline and online together in many respects. But just allowing the customer to build comfort, do the bits that they want to do, be able to construct elements of their deal. They may not want to buy completely online, and certainly what we've seen is that's actually a real minority. If anybody
really?
If anybody thinks that by putting an online sales tool together, suddenly all the customers are going to buy online, that's not the reality. Actually, very few get to the entire through the entire journey without touching the retailer in some way, in some communication method, whether that be live chat, phone. But what we do find is people want to construct the deal. They want to start the process. They want to examine what it will look like. take some of the elements away from the communication, and then when they're ready, then they'll get in touch.
Yeah, yeah.
But they've done some bits before they do that.
Yeah.
And that's increasingly important.
I think it'll change though. I think over time, more and more people will, and as systems get better, as they get more integrated, as more you can complete more of the journey online, and customers become more comfortable with it, and retailers change some of their practices around pricing. You know, the more standardised pricing, fixed pricing.
Yep.
Then, you know, I think more and more vehicles will get sold online. I think at the moment, I've always thought, or recently I've thought that the biggest barrier to online sales is the fact that customers know, or have known in the past, that if they go into the dealership, they're going to get somewhere between £500 and £1,000 off the vehicle.
Yeah.
But if you buy it online, and there's
you
can't do it online.
Add to cart, checkout, done.
Now we know most retailers, or a lot of retailers, have moved into a fixed price model, and you know, trade prices for parts exchanges and that sort of stuff, which makes complete sense. So you're not having this over allowance and all that sort of, you know, falsifying of figures and things to make a customer feel better about the fact that his car's depreciated a lot. So I think as over time, people will get used to that, and as it washes through, then I think they'll be more comfortable. And the biggest barrier, I think that's one of the biggest barriers to buying online, and I think that will change, and more vehicles will be sold online. Why wouldn't you? I mean, I'd much rather buy everything online. Personally, I hate going shopping, but I like buying things online. So
see, I'm a little bit different. I mean, I still can't imagine. I say this to most guests we have on the show. I still can't really imagine adding a car to a cart and pressing checkout and then put my credit card details in. To me, that doesn't. Partly because I love cars so much, but
I'm not saying you won't go into the dealership, because I think people will always go into a sales centre of some sort, because you're going to want to experience a car, you're going to want to test drive it, you want to compare it, you're going to. But what you don't want is, you don't want the hard sell. You don't want the sort of the battering down by the dealer to buy the extra gap insurance for £600 and it costs her £30. All that sort of stuff. So what you're going to want to do is you want to buy good value added products if they're sold to you properly online. You're going to want to buy finance. You're going to want to buy the vehicle, but you're probably going to want to go and have a test drive, sit in it and smell it and do all the sort of things that people do when they buy cars.
And thinking about that small minority of people that are doing the entire buying journey online, is it a certain demographic? Is it a certain generation that are doing it, do you think?
We from the analytics that we've seen, yes, it is younger people that do like to engage. They're the most digitally savvy. They're used to buying things online. But that's not to say that older people aren't enjoying the experience and certainly trying it. The interesting thing is that if you look at the research, that there are other sectors that really enjoy buying online. I think women particularly. We've seen a large engagement in terms of women who may not have found the what is unfortunately still too much of a male-dominated industry, albeit everybody's working hard to change that. But certainly younger people, I think, they're so used to the Amazon generation of being able to buy everything online that, why can't you buy a car online?
Yeah, they just expect it, don't they? Funny enough, we on a recent show we asked the same question, and the answer was different. Actually, they said it's actually the older generation, in their opinion, that is more comfortable buying online.
I think you get certainly the time poor people are also one of the other demographics that buy online. But
I think high value cars. The evidence we've seen in certainly the high value cars is actually it is the time poor executive.
Yes. They know what they want, I suppose, don't they? They're very defined feature set they want, etc.
Absolutely. I remember a manufacturer that was one of the first ones that entered the online market. Their first ever purchase was a £70,000 car from an MD that was doing it probably during a board meeting when he when he had a bit of time. But the first ever end to end with one of the first manufacturers was an executive level person buying quite a chunky car.
Surely that's a huge market then for auto retailers, is it? Or is it not? Is that something, are people, should they be tapping into this market more?
The way I look at it is you've got to be wherever the customers are, and the customers are on the web. And so if you haven't got a very strong, clear, concise web proposition, then you will definitely lose customers. And in the olden days, one of the biggest barriers to customers putting finance on the website was, I don't want to give away all of our prices. I want the customer to come down to the dealership. And I said, well, okay, yeah, I understand that. It's a thing to be concerned about. But in that case, why don't you take the images off? And then they've definitely got to come down and take the price of the vehicle off. And in fact, just have a web page that says, we sell cars, come down and see us. So at what point do you sort of... But the world's changed now. People are accepting the fact that you need to market these vehicles. It is a shop. It is somewhere where customers are going to go and gather information about whether or not you're a credible source for them to source their next vehicle from.
Yep.
But I think you can't get away from the fact that most people still buy the car physically in the dealership.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is a great thing for dealerships anyway, isn't it? We want that certainly at the moment. Thinking about the industry sort of in general now, so you guys have obviously seen a lot of it because you cover everything from finance.
What you say?
You've got more hair than me. New car stock locators. All of your solutions, they tend to span across the entire industry, don't they? What do you like most about the industry, Shaun?
We're on a journey which is exciting. It's been very much a traditional marketplace, which has taken longer to move and to change, but that started, and that's a really exciting thing. Is actually where will it end up? How can we shape where it ends up? It is quite exciting taking a journey that consumers haven't always liked and turning it into a journey that they do. I think we've still got a lot of challenges. There are too many systems. Salespeople are burdened with in their process. It's still clunky. It's not as lean and as slick as it could be. So there's a lot of work to do there.
Is that what you guys are looking to? Is that part of your strategy to make that easier?
Yeah. If you look at the, and we've done quite a bit of site studies around this, and there was one classic one where we went into one automotive retailer and we spent some time with two salespeople during a car sale, and one used 7 different systems.
Wow!
To complete a car sale.
Just to complete one sale.
Just to complete one sale, because you think you've got your. You might have a lead management system. You've got CRM. You've got DMS. You've got multiple finance point of sale systems potentially. You've got your compliance system. You've got your insurance system. You might then have an accounting system. There's so many different systems. You might have an inventory system.
I guess sometimes not integrated.
Often actually, not integrated. And I think there's that is a huge inefficiency. I also think that contributes to a consumer experience that could be better because it's too clunky. It's not streamlined. Just counting, and I'd urge any retailer to do this, is just count the amount of times that you have to retype information you've already got. And then extrapolate that by the amount of time that takes, and then the cost of that person in your business. And some of the numbers can be fairly scary. There's an opportunity to remove that and to link all those things together. And then the flip side of that is you get a far better consumer experience. Because they're not having to be abandoned at the desk while the salesperson goes to see the business manager, who does a quote on a point of sale system that comes out with a bit of paper that then writes it into the CRM, that then presents it to the customer, and the customer doesn't like it, and then they do the whole thing all over again.
Of course,
So we can take cost out, we can make it more efficient, and we can make better consumer outcomes, and we're still not at the end of that journey, and that's quite exciting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be listening to this thinking, that sounds great, but I've got these 7 systems because we've had these 7 systems for the last 10 years or whatever it might be, which makes it even worse, obviously. But you can see why they're probably nervous about ripping that all out and putting something new in. And also, there's the cost, isn't there? And it's something, particularly at the moment, people have got that on the top of their minds, really. So where should a dealership start if they're listening to this thinking, we're making that mistake, but they're also thinking, we haven't got a clue where to begin. We haven't got the cash in the bank to do anything. What would they do?
I actually think as suppliers, it should start with us. We've not done enough. Suppliers have been too obsessed with their own systems. We've not worked together.
That's wonderfully honest. I don't think you often hear that.
Absolutely. We've had these conversations, and we try and bring things together, eradicate the waste, and make better solutions.
I think that's a really key point. Is that systems in the past, if you look at finance point of sale systems, they hundreds of them out there built by the lenders themselves. They take them to market, and the whole point of that system is to help get the proposal to the lender, for the lender. It's all about the lender. And I think our role is we're trying to connect all these systems together in ways that means that you haven't got to, we're not trying to create some monolithic system, but we are just helping the data move between those systems as seamlessly as possible. And doing that from a point of view of, as Shaun said, so how do you make it so that if the customer journey is really good, then build it and they shall come, sort of thing. And if it's built right, then, and it's thinking how can we make this seamlessly from so if you built a lender system right, in the olden days you'd have built it so that it really helped a retailer, and that would help you win loads of business from retailers. But what they did is they built, how can we make our processing really easy? And so it's that change of view and perspective on how you build your systems, and that's really our focus, is join them all together and create make it really easy for people to be customer centric with the tools that they create.
And like you say, it's a team effort.
Absolutely.
Not so much competition going on. I think again, so I've got to stop saying certainly at the moment, but you can't avoid this. But I think based on what you've both just said, really, the whole point of talking about the challenges, coming together and working together on it, this is a great platform for it. So we really appreciate you coming on, guys. It's hard. I mean, we could carry on for ages. We'll definitely have you back on at some stage. But no, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you. And thanks very much for watching. And remember to hit the subscribe button so you do not miss an episode. See you next time. Thank you.
Armchair Marketing.